When you're running a micro business, just you and one employee, it's easy to think that HR doesn't really apply to you yet. But even with a team of 2, you still have responsibilities as an employer. And getting this right from the start, well, that sets the tone for everything that comes after. Hi entrepreneurs, I'm Vicky Brown, and you're in the right place if you want to engage your team, boost your business, and grow your leadership muscle. So let's walk through some straightforward HR best practices specifically tailored for tiny teams. The first bit to understand, you do still have real HR responsibilities. It doesn't matter that you're not a big company. Employment laws apply the moment you hire someone. You're responsible for things like paying wages correctly, maintaining a safe workplace, keeping good records, and making sure you're not violating anti-discrimination laws. Small doesn't mean exempt. It just means you need a right-sized approach. Now, one of the best places to start is with simple, clear documentation. Oh, you don't need a 75-page handbook, but you do need the basics. So start with a written offer letter. This should spell out the job title, key responsibilities, work schedule, pay rate or salary, and whether the role is full-time or part-time. It should also confirm whether the position is exempt or non-exempt from overtime. Even if you think you've already talked about all of this, putting it in writing prevents misunderstandings down the line. Next, have a basic employee handbook. I'm talking 5 to 10 pages, not a novel. Your handbook should answer common sense questions like, what are our working hours? How do vacation and sick time work? What are the expectations around communication, remote work if that applies, and professional behavior? How do we handle confidentiality and protecting company information? You're not just doing this for legal reasons. You're giving your employees clarity, which helps both you and the employee avoid awkward surprises later. You'll also want to keep a clean, organized employee file from day one. At a minimum, your file should include the signed offer letter, a completed W-4 form or tax withholding, a completed I-9 form to verify work eligibility. And remember, you need to keep that I-9 in a separate file if possible, because it's subject to a different set of rules. Sign copies of any policy acknowledgments, like an acknowledgement that they received your handbook or confidentiality policy. Listen, I know it's tempting to skip these steps when it's just you and one employee. But if anything ever goes wrong, if there's a dispute about pay, hours, or even whether someone was properly classified, these simple documents are going to be your best defense. So set it up now, keep it organized, and you'll thank yourself later. It's one of the easiest ways to protect your business while building a strong professional relationship with your first team member. Next up, payroll and benefits. Even if it's just one employee, you've got to pay them properly. No shortcuts, no casual, I'll just Venmo you arrangements. From the moment you hire someone, you're taking on legal responsibilities around how they're paid, and mistakes can get expensive really fast. If your employee is hourly, you need to track their time worked accurately and consistently. That means actual hours on the clock, not rough estimates. Now, if they're salaried, you need to make sure the role qualifies as exempt under federal and state laws. Just because you pay a salary doesn't mean you're off the hook for overtime rules. The job duties have to meet specific tests under the law. And above all, one thing you should never do, pay under the table. It might feel easier in the moment, but it puts you at serious risk for penalties, back taxes, lawsuits, and even criminal charges in some cases. Plus, it sends the wrong message to your employee about how seriously you take your business. So set up a legitimate payroll system right away. Now, there are plenty of reputable payroll services designed for small businesses. Some even specialize in companies with just 1 or 2 employees. A good payroll service is going to handle wage calculations, tax withholdings, filings with federal and state agencies, and year-end forms like W-2s. It's a small monthly investment that protects you and keeps you compliant. Now, when it comes to benefits, the rules can vary depending on where you are. At a minimum, you'll probably need to carry workers' compensation insurance, even if you only have one employee. In fact, in some states, you may also need state disability insurance. These aren't optional, they're required by law. Now, health insurance is a little different. Generally, federal law doesn't require you to offer group health insurance until you have 50 employees or more. But some states have different rules, and so it's smart to double check whether your local laws have any additional obligations once you hire your first worker. Even if you're not legally required to offer a full benefits package quite yet, don't just dismiss the idea of offering small perks, like flexible hours or a learning stipend, or even paid time off. These kinds of extras don't just attract good people, they help you retain them without breaking your budget. The bottom line is simple. Paying people the right way is not optional. It protects your business, keeps you out of legal trouble, and just as important, it sets the tone for a professional, trustworthy work environment. When your employee sees that you take payroll and benefits seriously, they'll take their job seriously too. Communication is your secret weapon when you're leading a tiny team. When you only have one employee, communication is everything. It's easy to fall into the habit of thinking you don't need formal updates because you're working side by side all day. But the truth is, even on a two-person team, you need regular check-ins. So set aside some time once a week, even if it's just a quick 15-minute standing meeting, to step back from the daily work and talk about the bigger picture. What's going well? What needs more attention? Where is the business headed right now? You see, these small, regular conversations build connection. They build trust and alignment. Because on a small team, silence creates confusion. If you don't say anything, people are going to fill in the blanks themselves, and usually not in the way that you want. Regular communication helps prevent misunderstandings about priorities, deadlines, and performance expectations. It also makes it easier to address small issues before they turn into major frustrations on either side. Now, the goal isn't to add extra meetings just for the sake of it. The goal is to create a simple habit of open dialogue and clear feedback and shared goals, especially when your team is small. Communication isn't a side task. It's one of your most important leadership tools. Now, when it comes to performance management, consistency matters more than formality. You don't need a big corporate evaluation process, but you do need to give feedback consistently. Praise what's working, correct what isn't, and correct it early and directly. And if you ever have to have a serious conversation about performance, send a quick email summary to yourself afterward. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just needs to show that there was a conversation. Now, hopefully you never need to deal with a termination, but if you do, handle it professionally. Don't make rash decisions, document your concerns, and have a plan for the conversation. Even in an at-will state, you want to have a reasonable, fair process if you're ending the employment relationship, because it's protection for your business and a professional courtesy to the person leaving. If you're thinking about hiring a second employee down the line, get intentional before you post that job. Define the role clearly. What skills do you need? What outcomes are you looking for? And remember, hiring discrimination laws are going to apply to you too. Be thoughtful and fair in how you interview and select candidates. Another piece you can't overlook: protecting your business. Workers' compensation insurance is usually required even with one employee, and you might want to take a look at Employment Practices Liability Insurance, or EPLI. It can protect you against claims of wrongful termination, discrimination, or harassment. It's just an extra layer of protection that's especially important when your margins are tight and a lawsuit could really be devastating. And finally, build tiny systems that can grow with you. The little processes you set up now, how you onboard someone, how you document feedback, how you manage payroll, all of that's going to make your life easier when you have 2 employees, then 5, then 10. You don't need a full-blown HR department yet, but you do need habits and systems that scale as you grow. The truth is, good HR isn't about extra paperwork or bureaucracy. It's about building a healthy, professional working relationship, even if it's just you and one other person. And when you get this right early, you're building a foundation that supports your growth for years to come. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe and share. And remember, your inspired leadership is the secret sauce to having a high-performance team and a wildly successful business you'll love. I'll see you next time on Leader's Journey.